My name is Emmy Huls, and I'm interviewing Loren Huls, my grandpa. What branch of service were you in?
Air Force,
And what were your dates of service?
1968 to 1974.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
Was there a reason that you enlisted?
I tried to avoid the draft because I didn't believe in the Vietnam War, which the war was going on at that time. So I wanted to try to get into the Air National Guard, and I did.
Why did you pick the service branch that you joined?
A lot of my friends were in it, and they liked it.
How old were you when you enlisted?
20.
Do you recall your first days of service and what were they like?
Very hot. Weather was very hot. Landed on the plane towards evening. Basically 40 of us were there at about the same time. That's how much is in a flight, like a platoon in the Army, but it's called the flight. And we just were sent to our dorms to sleep. Next morning we got up right away. They put us in line to march, which we couldn't. But the first thing we did was we tried to march to the barbershop, and we all got our hair cut off. That was the first thing that happened to us. Then we got decent breakfast, and then we just, from there, it was practice marching, and 12 hours a day. You got some breaks there, but then you had obstacle courses every day. Those were very tough. Some kids had a hard time with that. If you played any sports in high school, you were fine. It was just hot. That's what I remember.
What type of work did you perform when you were in the service? What were your jobs?
When I got out of basic training, I was sent to tech school at Shepherd Air Force Base, Wichita Falls, Texas. They first put me in emergency landing gear, which is an AM2 matting, which they used in Vietnam. They clear an area off and they needed planes to land. That's what I was first trained in. But then Lincoln got the F-4 airplane in, and they asked me whether I would switch to cable barrier, which I did. And so the cable barrier is what you see on ships when an airplane comes in to land. They throw out a hook and hit the cable, stops the plane. The reason Lincoln Air Force Base with the F-4 plane needed that was the runway was not long enough. So they got me trained in that as much as they could, and they wanted to know if I would go back to Lincoln and help put in that cable barrier, which I gladly did. And then I came home the rest of the time and fulfilled my 6 months active duty at Lincoln, Nebraska.
When you first got into the service, did you think you were gonna do cable barrier repair and
No.
put them in?
No. I got into the Air Guard because I went to Milford first. And in those 2 years, I took mechanical and electrical. And when I was trying to get in the Air Guard, they were just accepting 18-year-olds. So I was, 3 times I went up there, they said, sorry, we can't take anybody but an 18-year-old. A friend of mine got killed in a car accident that was in the Air Guard. Went to his funeral on a Saturday. We talked about it, some friends and I, and he says, you know, Dale's opening is up there now. You might want to go up there. So I went up on a Monday, and the same sergeant looked at me and he says, yeah, we do have an opening. We got to get it filled. Go down to civil engineering, so I did. Lieutenant King was there, looked at my Milford record, and he said, we have a big Cummins engine with a generator on it. We haven't been able to get it running 5 years. If you can get that running, you're in. It took me, I went to Motor Pool and asked for big batteries and they had no fuel tank on it. So we had to make up some kind of a fuel tank with lines. It took me an hour and a half and 3 different batteries, but I got it started and I was in. And then that following Thursday, that's how quick that happened. So I was very lucky.
And then after that, where all did you serve?
With my being in the civil engineering department and where I was at Lincoln Air Force Base, they usually had summer camps where everybody had to leave for 2 weeks. I guess they always wanted me to come in the winter. They had jobs for me to do in the winter, so I never had to go to them. I did go to Ohio once for 4 days for a warlike training. That's the only time I've ever had to leave base. That was it.
How were the rules, or what were some of them?
The only time in basic training you could talk was at night. And we had barracks where they had rooms and 3 soldiers per room, 1 bunk bed and 1 single bed. And you learned really fast your beds had to be very tight enough to where you throw a quarter on it and bounce off. It was so hot, so a lot of us didn't sleep in the bed, we slept on top. Got up right away. It was already made, we just had to get it tight. That was one rule that a lot of people, especially us guys, we didn't care for that. And then our shoes had to be spotless, shined. I mean, really shined. So you spend a lot of time at night in basics, waxing your shoes, cleaning your shoes, polishing shoes. That's all you did. One time, I think in the 4th week, I had such a terrible toothache, and you were told, and you had to, in our barracks, we had a sister flight, and in the center was our sergeant, training sergeants. Supposedly they were gone at night, but somebody was always there. But anyway, I finally went to the office area there, and you had to stand and salute, say why you're there. And I wanted an aspirin because they said if you had pain or something, there is some medication you could have if you go in the middle to the officer's room, training room. So I did, and it just so happened our training tech was there overnight, and he really scared me. But that's some of the things you had to do. You couldn't go any place. And if you did, you had to stop at the door, salute. You had to salute everybody. Everybody had an officer, somebody that has brass, either on their collar, somewhere in front of them, could be on their hat, but you had to stop and salute them. That was, if you didn't, you were in trouble. When you got to tech schools, it was completely different. It was like free living again.
What were the hours in basic training versus tech school?
You start at 6 every morning, and you didn't get done till 6 at night. I mean, when you got done with obstacle courses, running, marching, you got to eat your evening lunch or dinner, and then you were usually back by 6 o'clock. And it was so hot, it was in August, September when we were there in Texas. It was really, really hot. So, of course, then you got to take showers. Tech schools, your hair started growing out again. You could actually pick from a menu what you wanted to eat. In breakfast, it was surprising. The first thing you heard was, "How do you want your eggs?" We never heard that, so it was fun. And my school, my tech school, started at 6 in the morning, and it was done at 12 noon. So I had a lot of free time. Some guys went home during the weekends. I didn't. A friend of mine's parents brought a car, so him and I once in a while would go out. Not very much, but I spent most of the time on the base. I went to the gym, played a lot of basketball, lifted weights. At nights I went to movies. Popping a candy bar tasted pretty good. The tech school was very easy. The rules still applied. You still had to salute any officer. And your disciplines were always there. So, but tech school was a dream compared to basics.
What was the housing like at tech school?
Almost identical to my basic training. It was just a room, but we just had 2 soldiers in it, not 3.
What was the weather like at basic training and then at tech school? Was it any different, or was it pretty much the same?
Tech school, by the time I got out of there, it had cooled down some. It was pretty nice when I left.
Who were some of your best friends at basic training and at tech school?
I had a couple friends that I knew in basic training, but we didn't get much chance to interact. You got to interact with your roommate, I would say at the time. Once in a while we'd go room to room and visit a little bit, but not too much. Ron Swaniger was probably the guy that I didn't know that I got really close with before it was over. We had a lot of fun. laughing about some things. He was one that was a little bit heavier and had trouble getting over the rope, so he come in dirty and muddy a lot, landing in the water. So we had fun with him. But and in tech school, I got acquainted with Greg Farmer from North Carolina, and his folks brought the car, and we got really close. Still are. As I look back at it, basic training, it's hard. It's rough on you. The drill sergeants are very hard on everybody, and you take it serious, but as you get older, you know it's all about discipline. And in war times, when you're fighting or go out, anybody in military war, you have to do what you're told, and that's basically what they teach you there. The tech school was a very good experience. I didn't know anybody in tech school, and you have time to exchange things. You got so much time to be together. So I got a lot of close friends at tech school. And these are the classmates. This is our instructor. You get to know these guys really good because it's free, a lot of free time. And your instructors were very, very nice. Just completely different atmosphere. So I thoroughly enjoyed.
How would you keep in touch with people at home or friends and family?
Back then, all you had was mail, or if you wanted to make a phone call. But you only got $17 a month, and that was to buy toothpaste, shampoos, soaps. But it didn't cost very much at that time, especially on base. So your phone calls, I limited my phone calls home. They could call you in tech school, not basics, in tech school, and there was always a phone in the dorm, and somebody was in charge of answering the phone, and if you were there and somebody called you, that was the only way you communicated.
If you could give any advice to people that are planning to serve or are serving right now, or talk to your younger self and give him advice, what would you say?
To the kids in high school especially, if you're undecided about a career, military offers a lot of good schools. If you can get in what you'd like to, go to Recruiter and see what's available. If you get through basic training, it's a great experience. We have small conflicts going on anymore, but it's completely different. It used to be about going overseas.
Did you get promoted, and if you did, how did you get
Yeah, we started out in basics as everybody starts out as an airman. This is what you wear in basics and in tech school. There's my name, Air Force. I have one stripe. Well, you get one stripe when you finish basic training in the Air Force, and that's called an airman. You are now an airman. After that, I got out of tech school and then became an airman first class. That's 2 stripes. And then when I went back to the home base, to get sergeant, I had to take a written test and time in service. It's just after so many years, we had to spend 6 in the guards. I think my 3rd year, I took a test and I made sergeant. If you see 4 stripes, that's staff sergeant in the Air Force. I had to wait 5 years to take the test, passed it, so they gave me another stripe. I did take the master sergeant's next step. I did take that test. I don't know if I passed it or not because I took it right before I got out.
Do you remember any humorous or unusual events that happened?
Humorous? I would say just watching some of the guys in basic training with marching and obstacle courses, looking back at it, you weren't dared to laugh at some of the things that happened, but you wanted to. Some guys just couldn't take it very good.
Do you have any photographs of your time in the service? And
Yes.
who are the people in the photographs?
One was a good buddy of mine, Randy. I have all my tech school students with me in that school, and just Mainly with my buddy Randy.
What did you do the days and weeks after you got out?
When I was released, I had 6 months active duty, so they release you, but there was still work to do on the cable barrier that they actually put me in charge of it, and I had to hire subcontractors to dig deep holes to put these cable or tighteners or long cables. We weren't done with that project, so they asked me whether I would stay. Of course, they paid me more like a civilian. So until that project was there, I stayed in Lincoln with a friend to complete that job, and then we didn't get it completed until spring, and then I went home.
And what did you go on to do as a career after?
Farming.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or the military in general after?
Oh yeah.
What did it make you think?
I was very fortunate to get the guards at the time because of the Vietnam War. In my opinion, a lot of kids my age at the time didn't agree with. So I was very fortunate. Anything else?
Is there anything you'd like to add or any stories you would like to tell?
Not really, just to tell the young kids, don't be afraid of the military. Like I say, once you get through basic training, if you get into the techs or the schools you want to, I know a lot of people, even young people that I know of, that took themselves and got in schools, talked to the recruiter really good. Yeah, there's some stuff first you don't like. That's in any job, but one of them wanted to be kind of a PA physician's assistant. Excellent school, and he's doing that right now. And he's making money at it. He's out of the military part of it. He's in Omaha at the ER, big hospital, and learning a lot. And they hire military people usually first because their schools are a little bit better, and they get on-the-job training. They get to see that. Cooper, this guy I was talking about in medical, he's saying, boy, in ER you learn everything. That's where they want you first because they think you're trained in combat, trying to heal the wounds. So he had no trouble getting jobs, good paying jobs. A lot of the people I talked, one guy, a friend of mine my age, kept going through the service, stayed in it for 20 years, dropped out. He became a pilot out of that career. He actually retired from it, but he got a job right with Southwest Airlines flying plane, and he did excellent. There's other things. There were just two of my friends that had those experiences, but there's a lot of excellent things in the military. It really is.